because people have this unlimited, vast amount of power that they shove to the side and say, the life I have right now is all that's here for me. And I decided when I saw my own child do it, that our environment creates that, and that I was going to put my foot down and try to stop it. If you're listening right now, think about scrolling through Facebook and you see somebody that's on a beautiful vacation. And what do you say? Must be nice. That is your brain saying that's good for somebody else, but I'm not good enough to have that. If I can start to be aware, and it doesn't have to be this hyper vigilant, you can make it a game. It can be fun. When you start to become aware is when everything can change for you.
Welcome to yourbrilliance.com. I'm your host, Amy Waterman. And today we're talking about your big life. Now, your big life is the life that you've always dreamed of living. It's the one that brings a little tear to your eye when you think about it. It's so beautiful and it's so wonderful. And it's so far from the life you're living now. Because when you look around at the life you're living now, all you see is a lot of, hard work for nothing really. You don't have time to go chasing after a dream. You've got a job and maybe a family and responsibilities and commitments. So your big life remains just that, a dream. But what if your big life is closer than you think? Our guest for today thinks that everyone has a shot at achieving her big life. Betsy Pake is a success coach, certified NLP coach, and speaker. She's the host of the popular podcast, The Art of Living Big. And she's the author of several books, including the one we'll be talking about today, Start Small, Live Big. Her mission in life is to help men and women achieve their fullest potential and claim the big life they deserve. Welcome, Betsy.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
So I have to ask, what got you into helping people live their big life?
I have had an interesting path like so many of us have. I worked in corporate America. I owned a CrossFit gym. And now as a life coach, I would go around and I would see people talking and saying things that constantly undermined where they really wanted to go, right? So the words that would come out of their mouth weren't supporting their life in any way. And they wouldn't even recognize it. They wouldn't even notice it. And when I started noticing it in my daughter is when I went, hey, wait a minute. I'm going to start pointing this out because people have this unlimited, vast amount of power that they shove to the side and say, the life I have right now is all that's here for me. And I decided when I saw my own child do it, that our environment creates that, and that I was going to put my foot down and try to stop it.
So I have to ask you what these things are that you're hearing, because some of the things that pop to mind is, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I don't have time to do it. That's just not possible for someone like me. Is that the kind of things that you're talking about?
Yeah. Think about, if you're listening right now, think about scrolling through Facebook and you see somebody that's on a beautiful vacation. And what do you say? Must be nice. That is your brain saying that's good for somebody else, but I'm not good enough to have that. It's those little things that you say to yourself that tell your brain, which create a chemical reaction in your body, which manifests in the things you do. And so you don't go for that promotion, or you don't step outside and say something big in a meeting, and you don't reach for something bigger because you just told yourself, must be nice. It's those little things that we say.
So I have to ask you then, is the solution watching our thoughts like a hawk? Because that just seems like a lot of work. Where do we go? Because the problem is that for so many of us, we are stuck in this life. And when we look around at our life, maybe we could aspire to be like our friend who's doing well, but it's so hard to imagine stepping into something, as you say, big.
Yeah, it's terrifying, and our brains are actually built to stop us from doing anything. Our brains wants to do every single thing exactly the way we did the day before. And our thoughts, we have about 60,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those are repeats from the day before. So no wonder we continue to live the same life over and over and over, and over again, right?
I love that. And your
So
dog is barking the same bark.
I
It's barked
know it's like,
before.
the only dog I allowed to stay in here was the one that doesn't bark, and now
Oh.
FedEx, happy holidays. So FedEx is here and she's sharing. But really, that's what it comes down to, right? So if I can start to be aware, and it doesn't have to be this hyper vigilant, you can make it a game. It can be fun. When you start to become aware is when everything can change for you.
Okay, so you've got a book that really breaks down this process, Start Small, Live Big. And the core of this book is something called the C.H.A.S.E framework.
Yeah.
Could you talk to us about what that is?
So one of the things I would hear from people is, I have an idea, maybe I have an idea of something I want to do, but that seems so big and so far away. And so I developed this framework, and you can download it for free on my website. But basically what it is our brains want to stop us from doing something different. And so in order to tiptoe past that part of our brain, we need to do something really small. And if we can start doing small things, we can start to push that threshold. So C.H.A.S.E framework is really a process to break down a big idea into like 5-minute actions, something that is really tiny. And as we start to do those, we start to train our brain that we can do something bigger. We have a bigger vision. It's okay to do something different and step outside the box. And then we start to push the threshold farther and farther, and our leaps become much bigger. But when we try to just take the big, huge leap all at once, it just doesn't work. Our brain freezes, we freeze. So those small steps, and the C.H.A.S.E framework will lay out exactly how to do that.
Okay, so I want to see how this would apply to an actual goal. So let's go back to what you had talked about. You're scrolling through social media and you see these pictures of this amazing vacation, like, somewhere you could never afford to go. How would maybe somebody use the C.H.A.S.E framework to start thinking that that might be possible?
So I love it when I hear somebody go, must be nice, or, that would be good for them, or I can't go on a vacation like that. I don't make enough money. So immediately my thought is, and what I would ask them is, well, how could that happen? Because when you tell your brain, how could that happen? That opens up a whole new realm of possibility. So with the C.H.A.S.E framework, you simply ask yourself, like, okay, what could be possible? So it's far away, it's not for me, but what if it was? And then I would encourage it's really breaking down into tiny, tiny steps. So I always say set a timer, because it relaxes our brain to let us have this time of creation. And then just simply write down little things. What could happen? Like I could win the lottery, right? I could get an inheritance. I could get a deal on something. I could get a part-time job. So all of a sudden, and as you keep doing that process, you start to narrow it down and narrow it down. Did you hear how even when I was doing that, things were becoming more realistic? And then it may be like, I could find a really good deal and get a promotion. Well, if I'm thinking that way, what am I doing? I'm taking different risks at work. I'm speaking out. I'm asking to do new projects. And that's how those thoughts start to manifest. So this whole process is really a creation. The C stands for create. So you're just creating what could be possible. What would be the vision of something great? And what are the little steps I could do? And then you sort of look at it and you're like, what would I need help with? Where would I need to get new knowledge? Like, what could I take action on right now? And when you get to the thing, if you write out enough little steps, there'll be one small thing you can take action on. And once you take action, other things will start to show themselves to you. And so it really is in the action. There's a great book, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. I just listened to this book last week and I kept hearing about it. But it's all about the brain, which is similar to my book. And in fact, when I first heard about it, I thought that's too much like my book, but it's not. It's really great, but it's really about just getting started. And so when you get a small enough step, it's so much easier to just get started. So that's the steps I would walk someone through when they see a great vacation, how to actually start moving in that direction.
So I want to contrast this to one of the really popular modes of manifesting your dreams, which is, the secret and the law of attraction. And
Yeah.
in those frameworks, all you do is you visualize yourself going on that vacation. You get, pictures of yourself on that vacation and put them up on a vision board. And every morning you give thanks for having that. Now this is
Yeah.
different. This is quite different, isn't it? Because this is all about not envisioning yourself enjoying the vacation, but envisioning the possible steps you could take to make it work.
Yeah. I think envisioning how that could be is really important because that's what gives you the strength to take the small steps. But I think that the secret just left out the part about aligned action. So I'm not all about the hustle, hustle, hustle. I'm about getting aligned. Like how could I make that happen? What could be possible? Get in that feeling of excitement. Now you're in the vibration of that thing coming to you. And now when you take the step, more things come to you because you're in that vibration. So I think it's sort of the same, but I'm doing it from a more aligned action perspective.
Yeah. So one of the things that you will require clients to do is to do something different from what they've been doing before. And here's where we come into when we dream about our big dream, we like to have that fantasy and it's wonderful because we don't have to do anything about it. We can still live our life and enjoy the fantasy, but to actually get it, we have to change. And maybe
Yeah.
some of those things we have to change are things we don't want to change. Like maybe we like our current job where we don't make much and there's no chance of promotion. But if we want to go to the next level, we might have to get a different job. We might have to let go of some things that have been, security blankets. Is there a bit of
Yeah.
resistance sometimes to doing this?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's really why I say go really small. It helps to lower the resistance. And many times we have this idea that problems are bad, but you're always going to have a problem. You want a different problem. So if you're not where you want to be right now, you just need different problems. And you don't get different problems if you're not doing something just a little bit different. So, maybe you are comfortable in your job and you don't want to change, but you want the vacation and you want more money and you want to be able to do things. Well, I often say to my clients, you don't have to worry about the how, right? You don't have to worry about how that big thing is going to happen. You just have to worry about how you're going to do the next small step, how you're going to do that next little thing. So what feels comfortable right now? Can you move towards that? And then, like I said, the next thing comes in. But I think we get overwhelmed by, oh my God, I'd have to switch my job and my commute would be different. And we get overwhelmed by all this stuff. But if we can bring it back to just all I have to do is the next right aligned step, things will start to fall into place and it will feel good.
So the next question then is, we've got these steps. What if we don't really know what we want? Because so many of us know what we want when we were young. It's really easy to know what you want when you're 20. You just got these visions. But then you just get used to doing what you need to do to survive. And, you look at, okay, well, I got to start planning for retirement now. Got to make sure the bills are paid off. You get out of the habit of dreaming.
Yeah.
How do we know? How do we even know what our big life is going to look like?
Yeah. It's funny because I think our big life shifts, right? So my big life today is actually a little different than it was 2 weeks ago because I've grown and changed and learned some new things. And so I think that many times we think like, I've got to have this all figured out. But if if I'm thinking right now, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what would be big to me. I can look at what do I not like? Contrast is a beautiful thing because if I say, what, I don't like my morning commute, then I can go, well, I would like to have a better morning commute. So now I'm adding that to what my vision really is, right? So I don't really like that my family's not all together at dinner. Well, I have contrast. I know I don't like that. So I know part of my vision would be having family time. How many times a week? So it's really about noticing what your problems are and seeing if there's something in there that leads you to what you want. I think we make it really hard. Our thoughts create chemical changes in our body, which signals an emotion. Happens like that. And so if we can start to pay attention to those emotions, we'll know what we're thinking and what we really want.
That's fantastic. So you've got a couple other things going on. You've got the 60 Days of Transformation, the Infinite Soul Project. What are those things about?
Yeah, one thing that I find, like I said, with the belief systems, is that people don't understand what their beliefs even are and how to go through a process to change them and to start to manifest things in what I call a more practical way. So the Infinite Soul Project is an online course that really walks them through, and they have to do the work. So there's work in there that they work through, and as they work through the process, they come out on the other end really understanding what their beliefs are, how it affects their life, and how they can start to change it. Now, the 60 Days of Transformation is an online group coaching that I run several times a year, and it's really fun to see because we take some of that belief mindset stuff and we hone in on one specific goal and walk through an 8-week process to start to achieve that goal. So it's always really fun because they really get after something that's been on their mind, that they really wanted to do and couldn't do without the support.
Yeah, because that's one of the hardest things about dreaming is that when it's just you, maybe you have a partner who will support you, but it is very hard to think about how to do things differently yourself when all you see is how you've always done it.
Yes, you don't even notice. You need something to mirror so that you can see, oh, I didn't even notice that about myself.
Yeah.
And you can do that with a coach is great, but you can also do that with a really good friend and say, you know what? Like, I'm going to learn about this and I want you to do it with me so you can tell me. I have friends that will say to me, oh, Betsy, that's a limiting belief. And I'll be like, oh, dang it. I didn't even notice, but you're right.
That's great. Now, for those of you watching, if you want to learn more about Betsy's work and claim your own big life, we've got a link for you. Just go to yourbrilliance.org/biglife. That's yourbrilliance.org/biglife. And while you're there, don't forget to download the free download of the C.H.A.S.E worksheet that will remind you of the steps that Betsy's talked with us today. We're coming to an end. Thank you so much for being on the show. Do you have any last message you'd like to leave our viewers with?
Yeah, I would just say, if you're struggling, if you're in the midst of challenge right now, know that that's giving you contrast to help guide you to what you really want. And that is the time that you're building your character. And so it's all good.
Fantastic. And thank you out there for watching. We're so grateful that you came and stopped by, and we hope to see you soon. Until then, let your brilliance shine.